predictions are now open, and you should see them there in the chat. Place your bets on who you think is going to be today's champion. YanXII has been, again, really surprising us. There've been a lot of upsets today, a lot of surprising results. Can he go even further? Can he take down the favorite in Ryu? Ryu is one of the best Zerg players in the entire region. Ryu is up there with players like Cham, with players like Eric, with players like Eggs. It's going to be an uphill battle. But here we go, spawning in the bottom up. Hold on, as I try and I have a little bit of a graphical issue. Hopefully not for long. There we go. As spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of Glittering Ashes LE, we have the Peruvian Zerg player himself representing the CranKy Ducklings. It is Ryu. And spawning in the top right-hand corner of Glittering Ashes LE, we have the Brazilian Terran player. Not quite Kelazur, but you know, maybe the next Kelazur. Representing Amantes de StarCraft, it's the young blood himself. It is YanXII. Let's go, Yan! I hope we have a good series here. I'm a little bit concerned, but again, for YanXII to take down players like Paco Mike and Ryojin, you know, can he keep on going? Can he make this a series? I hope so, because Ryu is a terrifying opponent. Similarly to his previous games, he does enjoy going all the way up into lurkers in this matchup. And even Roaches early on. He's not really much of a cheeser, but he is a macro machine. If he's allowed to get his macro going, then there's very little that can stop him. So my eyes are on YanXII as to how he's going to approach this. We've already casted his TVZ earlier today. We saw him go Biomine, we've seen him go Biotank as well. We've seen him really enjoy his like bio style and like be on top of his upgrades. But we haven't seen him play against Ling Bane. And that's what we should be getting into here in this series. And I'm looking forward to it. It's good. It's good. It's what we all want. It's what we all want. Raffle gets 2 thumbs up. Yes. Yo, Elaine is in the chat. Yo, massive shout out to Elaine. I didn't even realize. Even realize. So congratulations, Papi. Congratulations. Oh, God. And I hope you enjoy the broadcast. Hope you enjoy. All right, here we go. So far, we have a little bit of a Reaper Scout coming into the main base. A little bit ambitious. He wants to try and get some of these workers, but the macro is looking pretty good here from Ryu. He does force the Reaper back. He goes back in. Oh, so greedy. And the third base does go down. Unfortunately, because the Reaper was busy in the main base, he wasn't here to deny the third, and Ryu does get it up and running. Meanwhile, back at home, we see an interesting opener. We see a third CC before Starport for YanXII. So very, very economic base. Oh my god. I am shocked. He goes third CC, not just before Starport. The follow-up is a 2-1-1. A second Rax is on the way. So very interesting kind of variant of this third CC build. So very economic focused. But because of the second Rax, he's going to be able to get into Stim pretty quickly and eventually hit a very strong timing with his medevacs with his drops. Ooh. The downside to this, of course, is that it does take a while to get into your drops because you're delaying your medevacs for so long. So you're going to be relying a lot on your Hellions for map control and to try and keep that creep at bay. But again, fast Stim to make up for it. So there's a bit of a give and take. Meanwhile, Overlord dips in and ooh, the Overlord sees everything. He sees the third CC and he sees both of the Raxes. So Ryu gets all the information he needs and Ryu is going for a very fast lair. What? This is a little bit odd. So yeah, this is a little bit quicker than we're used to. So with the fast lair, like usually if we have gases, we can go straight into mutas, but I doubt we're going to see that. maybe this is just for fast. This is probably just for fast bathing speed, which I do like. Bathing Nest is already on the way. Gases are being taken. We can go straight into Bane speed from here, with a little bit of a faster timing than we're used to. Oh. Usually we delay Banelings and we get like faster Evo chambers instead, and we defend with Ling Queen. But again, I guess because he sees the threat of Marines like on the horizon, he wants to get into Banelings as fast as possible. Meanwhile, Hellions are doing an okay job at slowing down that creep. They get one tumor, they get a second tumor as well. Oh, they do trade pretty well against these things, but will end up losing one of those Hellions. Meanwhile, we do see Ryu taking all 4 of its gases. There we go. The lair was for Bane speed in the end. And because of that, he should have Baneling speed ready for the first double drop. What we are lacking here are upgrades. To be fair, Ryu doesn't really have the drone count to sustain double Evo Chamber yet, but there we go, he does now throw them down. So we lack in upgrades because we spent our gases primarily on our lair and on Baneling speed instead. But it's okay because the engine bays are now being thrown down for YanXII, so the upgrades for Ryu aren't going to be too far behind. Meanwhile, double drop is going to be moving out across the map for YanXII. Baneling speed is going to finish up in a couple of seconds though. We have plenty of Ling Bane here to defend. This drop is not, it shouldn't really deal too much damage at all, to be honest. Maybe he can force a cancel, but the Ling Bane is already here. Feels bad, man. I mean, it's not the worst thing for this drop not to deal damage. He almost gets a creep tumor. Does trade a little bit with the Marines, and we have a hot pickup here. No Marines go down. Decent trade overall. You know, and it's not like he was all in. He did get a faster third TC, so SCV production is well underway here for Yan. 1-1 is on the way. Combat Shield's about to finish up as well. And he's getting into Widow Mines, which again will work really well against the Ling Bane he's up against. Something that I didn't really get to go too far into here as up. Another hot pickup. I didn't really get to go too far into it. We do have a Roach Warren, but Ryu, he doesn't go heavy into Roaches. He goes for enough Roaches to morph into Ravagers. And the goal for those Ravagers are primarily to bile down tanks and Widow Mines. They're more of a spellcaster support unit for his Ling Bane. And he does do that quite often. Meanwhile, we do see Yan actually go for a Widow Mine drop. The Widow Mines are not really going to be a part of the main army, and they get spotted by the Ling. The Queen's repositioned immediately here, going in towards the main base. Drop actually distracting Ryu right now. Oh, so the drop actually went for a fake to go into the main, but here we go. He does kind of reroute over towards the top left. And as all this is happening, drop going into the natural. Oh, never mind. Never mind, Ryu is here. Drop doesn't make it in, but at least Yan doesn't overcommit with his drop. The drop is still alive. The potential for damage is still there. And here comes the rest of his army. Ryu has to be careful that he wasn't droning up too much. His army honestly isn't looking that great right now. He doesn't have eyes on this army at all. Kenny's just a little bit too preoccupied with this drop, and here we go. The Marine push. The parade of Marines is on the way. We don't have that many Banelings. Oh, and I feel like Ryu just now realizes, oh my god, there's a massive wave of Marines coming my way, and he may just have to evacuate. We got a couple more Banelings being morphed in. Ravager's going to do a great job at slowing this down. I feel like there was an opportunity there for YanXII to like force his way into that fourth, but instead he plays it safe, goes for the creep instead. Ooh. Splits were okay, but there's more Banelings where that came from. Yeah, YanXII cannot find a way in. At the same time, the drop looks like got focused down. Yeah, the drop was dealt with. There were no Widow Mine shots going off. And Ryu gets away with this. What is he getting away with? Well, we have an infestation pit. We're gonna be seeing a hive. We're gonna be seeing lurkers soon, and that first wave is usually the scariest. Ooh, a lot of Lings being thrown away though. Not a bad catch for Yan. Like, what was that? Like almost 15 Lings. Meanwhile, we have another double drop here towards the right hand side. It looks like this fifth base is gonna be cancelled. Ooh, kill, not a cancel. Nicely done by Yan. Gonna be clearing up a lot of creep as well. Ryu can't really engage with this, not right now. He just doesn't really have the army for it. But here we go. We do see that hive on the way at the third base location. And to make up for his lack of tech, he's going into Infestors. So, Ling Bane, Ravager Infestor. Okay. Meanwhile, the drop was cleaned up. Unfortunately, only 3 Marines were able to get out in time. Ryu was looking to respread his creep. God, that's a lot of queens. That's a lot of queens. And Ryu just needs time. He doesn't have pathogen glands, and that's the scariest thing, so it's going to take him a while to really get enough energy for any fungals. But yo, he's getting ready to push out. Meanwhile, I don't know if I like this. We do see YanXII transitioning from Widow Mines into tanks. I think he thinks that there's going to be a bigger commitment into roaches, but then there really is. We'll see if it's going to be enough. Oh my god! The Bane Mines! I didn't even notice! But the Marines get taken out just like that. Burrow was researched. Oh my god. Ryu with the Bane Mines. And just like that, YanXII has to back off. He doesn't have any Marines. Not anymore. Meanwhile, we have a couple of Widow Mines being set up. Ling run by is going to be caught out here. At the same time, another double drop towards the right. But Ryu waiting with his veins. Should be able to, kind of cleans it up, kind of. Oh god, we do see a preemptive scan. The main army is pushing on forward. Not that many Marines protecting the tanks though. I'm a little bit afraid about that. Meanwhile, the drop actually breaks through and drones are starting to fall. Meanwhile, we do have a bit of a Ling run by here. Some SCVs are going down, but we have a bunker to defend. Ryu sustaining a lot of losses. He's having a hard time keeping up here. He does hold on to his bases at least, but lost a lot of workers. There's not a lot of pushing power here, just because like we mainly have tanks and medevacs with this army, so Ryu doesn't have like the biggest thing to worry about. He does have a little bit of freedom, and he is taking up into ultras. So interesting. I guess this does make sense because he has infestors to begin with. So going Ling, Bane, Ultra, Infestor, it all does make sense. It's pretty interesting how he ended up here. Meanwhile, the tanks were unsieged. Oh, and here we go. Every single tank goes down. I love it, not overextending. The reinforcements were a little bit too late. YanXII left himself exposed. Meanwhile, double drop on the right-hand side is going to get cleaned up this time. This time it won't be dealing damage, and the Ultras reveal themselves. They were not scouted. They were not ready. Ghosts are on the way, and they will help out, but are they going to come out in time? Because you know what? Ryu is on the chase. He wants to go now. We have Ultras, we have Infestors, we have Lings and Banes, we have everything we need, and Ryu is headed towards that fifth base location. We do have a couple of tanks. We do have a lot of tanks, actually. But I'm just really worried that there's just not enough to protect them. Like, we don't really have many Marauders. We have some Marines, but not a lot of Marines. Here we go. Ryu is just diving on in. The piles are going to be connecting. They take down every single one of these tanks. But the planetary did finish, so can Ryu... Can he take the space out? The EMPs do connect on almost every infestor, but we still have 2 infestors full of energy ready for those fungals, and up he almost goes for it. Pushing up this ramp is a little bit questionable. I don't know if I like this. It does kind of land one fungal, but yeah, Ryu does end up overextending. Oh, this is his ultras as a result, but Ryu does take out the planetary, so kind of worth it for him in the end, especially because, you know, he's getting his bases up and running. He's finally able to resaturate. Liberators are on the way. YanXII is doing a great job at adapting to all these ultras. Like, Lib Ghost is what you want. Spire is on the way to help with that, but the Spire is a little bit late. Couple of snipes go off on the Ultras and the Ravagers as well. Ryu really struggling here, and maybe staying on Ultras too long. Ultras are okay, but like, you want to be saving some supply and some bank to go into Corruptors and to go into Broodlords. Like, that's where you want to be, not Ultras at this stage of the game. We'll see. We'll see if he can pull it off in the end. As he's trying to go for a bit of a run by here, the main army is found in the middle of the map. All the ghosts are looking a little bit exposed. I think Ryu, he wants to try and catch those ghosts. Again, if at any moment Fungal lands on the ghost, they will die. We do have another planetary being set up, but oh, it's looking a little bit exposed. Bane run by does connect at the third base location. Planetary faults as well. Maybe we're sticking around a little bit too long. Does connect with a couple of Fungals. Yo, the chain Fungal? Not quite enough. Almost. And YanXI's being pulled apart a little bit here. I mean, there was a Bane run by, to be fair, but losing his 5th base for the 2nd time? God, and those ghosts are so low. Like, one more Fungal is all it's going to take. Nice snipes. Does get one of those ultras. Alright, here we go. YanXI's pushing himself forward. Does have his Liberators at the same time. A Ling Bane Ultra run by is being set up. And oh god, this planetary is looking pretty exposed. Yeah, he's forced to bring everything back home. Oh no! The Banelings do find their connections. And the planetary still goes down. And what's important, again, everything went back home to defend. And for what? They didn't even save the base. They didn't even save the workers. Ryu buys more time to get his Corruptors up and running. Still doesn't have a greater Spire, but the tanks were left all alone. Ghosts are on the way, and they're still a terrifying threat, but the Fungals are coming in! He does connect the Fungals on almost every single ghost. Not like this, the Fungals are real. The EMPs are a little bit too late, and the Ultras clean everything up. A couple of Fungals are all you need, and he landed every single one. And GG gets called. Ryu takes game 1 after a long back and forth game. I was very impressed there by YanXI. Like, he was keeping up. There were moments there where he was actually winning fights and killing workers and killing bases. But Ryu did a really good job of slowing the game down, at eventually forcing YanXI to back the hell off and be on the defensive. And when it came to that late game army control, I do think that Ryu just had a little bit better control there. Better positioning, I think, is the better way to put it. Like, his infestors were always ready to just pounce on the army to land those Fungals. And unfortunately, YanXI wasn't always fully aware of the location of those infestors to preemptively set himself up for EMPs. Like, you need to land those EMPs. Oof. GG. My god. That was intense. My poor voice. Oh, and I do apologize. I activated the predictions a little bit too soon, so I do apologize. But I have confirmation, as it looks like we're remaking the lobby. I do have confirmation that this is not a best of 5. The players have agreed to a best of 3 grand finals. If you're wondering, why did they agree on a best of 3? Well, Ryu is, you know, both of his parents are Peruvian. He was born and raised in Peru, but he is currently living in Italy. And I'm afraid to look, but in Europe, it's not at the best time. Italy time. It is 5 a.m. for Ryu right now. Ryu is playing at 5 a.m. Just to put that into perspective. So it's honestly really late, and Ryu wants to eventually go to bed, and YanXI agreed. So that both players did agree on a best of 3 instead of a best of 5. Oof. Meanwhile, massive shout out to Captain Canuck in the chat. Thank you, Papi. Thank you for the raid. I appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed the Magikarp Masters Amateur Tournament. Much love, Papi. Much love. Usually we raid you, but our tournament is running a little bit later today, so thank you so much for the raid. Hope you enjoyed the tournament. Much love to the people who run Magikarp Masters. It is a tournament for Masters players, you know, for up-and-coming amateur players. So yeah, they're doing good work there. Good work. But we are here in the grand finals, and spawning in the top right hand corner of Hardwire LE, we have the Brazilian Terran player himself representing Amantes de StarCraft. It is YanXII. And spawning in the bottom left hand corner of Hardwire, we have El Patito himself, the purple Zerg player representing the CranKy Ducklings. It is Ryu. The duck himself. Let's go. So honestly, a really intense game number one that went all the way to the late game. You know, we saw Infestors, we saw Ultras, we saw Ghosts, we saw Libs. Unfortunately, YanXII struggled to keep his 5th base alive. At a certain point, you would think that he would give up on taking the center base and try and take one of the fringe bases instead, especially because that center base is so far out in the open. It gets 360 surrounded essentially. It is so exposed. So YanXII being punished for his bases, being punished for his positioning because of those infestors, and we'll see if he can tighten things up here in game number 2. Regardless, game 1 was very dynamic. You love to see it, you know, the way that it was back and forth, and YanXII was all over the place with his drops, killing workers in the face of Ryu. It was great. It was beautiful. It was everything you want to see out of a ZvT, and hopefully we get it again. As a reminder, this is of course a best of 3. Players did agree on a best of 3 grand finals, so potentially this could be the final game of the series. Oh boy. Meanwhile, we do see YanXII going across the map with his Reaper. Pretty standard openers from both players. Hatch gas pool from our Zerg. Reaper going to be dancing here with these things, trying to pick up whatever he can, but so far so good. The micro for Ryu is on point, and the Queen pops out just in time. So YanXII doesn't really get too much damage done, and Ryu gets his 3rd up. But I'm mostly curious about the openers. We saw in the last game, YanXII went for a 3rd CC before Starport into a 2-1-1, which again is a little bit unique, and it was really great to see. You don't see it too often. But this game, he is going for a straight up 1-1-1. What's important as well is that his starport is behind the base. It is further back, so he wants to try and keep this hidden. The Overlord of Ryu is going to have a hard time scouting this, especially because of this Marine. And we'll see if we have an add-on swap here. I'm surprised to see a Marine built and not a tech lab from this barracks. Oof. Oh boy. As the starport is going to be finishing up here, and that is why we don't need a fast tech lab. If we did, it would be Banshees, but no, it is a little bit later. The Overlord would not get behind the mineral line. These 2 Marines will be able to clean this up, and Yan is going for BCs. Oh boy. And Ryu is in the dark right now. Quickly looking at the vision, Ryu did confirm the factory, but that's kind of it. Typically, if there's a 3rd CC, it would have been here in this location, and he would have seen it. So I think he can read that it's a 1-1-1, but what exactly is it? He's not quite certain about it. Meanwhile, safety Baneliness is on the way. I say safety Baneliness, it's a little bit early, so Ryu just playing this safe. It's understandable because for all Ryu knows, there's an armory behind the base instead of a fusion core. You know, there could be a Hellbat push coming, and that's why he's even making Banelings. Everything that I'm seeing right now is Ryu being prepared for Hellbats. Oof. Meanwhile, Hellions, there are a decent amount of them, and they are shocking around the edge of the map, trying to head towards its 3rd base location. First BC is on the way, quickly looking at the vision of Ryu. He hasn't been able to get a follow-up scout, not yet. And the Hellions, they try to dip in, but they don't make it. The Queens are here, so the wall is real. Ryu did get a couple of spores, one in the main, one in the 3rd base as well. They're kind of in position for, at least the main base, more in a position for a Liberator, but they are being repositioned here for a Banshee instead, just in case. So Ryu's doing a great job at playing safe, and he has to play safe. He has to try and be prepared for anything because he has no idea what's coming. Meanwhile, first BC is about to finish up. Are we going to see it just teleported across the map? Yes, we are. It goes boom, straight into the main base. But the Queens are not too far behind. They do make it here in time, and the BC isn't going to get much done at all. At the same time, Hellions tried to break into the natural base, but the Ling Bane and a couple of queens were here to stop them. So honestly, the defense has been very solid from Ryu. Like, despite playing blindly, despite not knowing what was coming, like, he was prepared for Hellbats, he was prepared for Libs, for Banshees, and BCs, everything. Queens are good units. Queens are all you need. So beautifully done here by Ryu. So far, the opener of YanXII hasn't really paid for itself. He's clearing up some creep, but he has to be careful not to be corralled in. Oh my god! He's getting cornered in. The Baileys are rolling in as well! Ah! We see the full surround. The Baileys find their connections, and every single Hellion gets cleaned up. Just like that, YanXII relinquishes his map control. Meanwhile, the BC tries to sneak into the main base, but the queens are still here. It does get 3 drones, so hey, it does get some damage done. It is something, but not enough to really pay for itself. Not enough to make up for the fact that he lost every single one of these Hellions. Meanwhile, we finally see a follow-up scout from Ryu. He gets into the main base, confirming that it is bio and not mech. That's very important because mech transitions are very common after a BC, so Ryu had to make sure. He even still has a changeling here in the main base just to keep an eye on everything, just to make sure he knows exactly what is being produced. As Ryu gets his 4th base up and running, we have a couple of roaches on the way as well. We were talking about this in game 1. He makes roaches just to be prepared for tanks and widow mines. He makes them just for ravagers, not so much to really commit into roaches. And he even got a really fast infestation pit for these infestors. I don't know how much they're really going to come into play, but you know, they're there. Meanwhile, BC comes back in, is going to be able to get a gas geyser and a couple more of these workers. Has to be careful because that BC is getting pretty low, but the dead air is here, and it looks like the BC should be able to get away. Oof. And again, you know, 4 more drones to add on to the 3 from earlier, it's not bad. It's not bad damage. It's necessary damage. Again, like, when you go for a BC opener, you need to have it pay for itself. And it kind of is. It kind of is. But unfortunately, you know, Ryu is getting fully saturated. He's up to 75 plus drones. He's basically done droning at this point. The Marines are going to do some damage here. They actually do have enough range to kill some workers from the low ground. Not bad. They are able to dodge the bios as well. Nice control here from YanXII, being so annoying with this drop. You love to see it. Meanwhile, finally it does get dealt with, but not before killing 7 drones. Again, YanXII doing a great job with what little he has. Whether it's with a BC or a handful of Marines, he is getting damage done. Meanwhile, back at home, 4th base is on the way, 2-2 as well. Ryu is falling a little bit behind when it comes to his upgrades. 1-1, not even done. The reason for that, though, is because of the Roach Warren, it's because of the Lair, the Infestation Pit as well. His gas was spent elsewhere because he was, you know, a little bit afraid of mech. So Ryu's overall upgrades do get punished because of that, and he will be behind. He is looking to eventually get into Hydras and I imagine Lurkers, but can he get there safely is the question. It looks like he should be fine. We have plenty of Ling Bane, we got Ravagers, we got that one Infestor as well. YanXII is going to have a hard time really pushing himself into creep. He's going to try though, he's going to try. Oh my god! The Bane Mines! I didn't even see them! I didn't even see the Bane Mines, but they were already ready as well. Ryu gets a nice shot off. Forces a scan as he goes for a massive run by. Do we have anything at home to defend? The tanks are exposed! The tanks, puppy! The tanks! Ah! Just attack! And here we go, they are. Meanwhile, across the map, the Fire Army tries to force its way forward, but there's plenty of Ling Bane to defend. The tanks get taken down as well. Speaking of, it looks like one tank was saved, but the other was focused down by those Lings. Finally, the run by does get cleaned up. Another scan. That's the thing I love about Ryu. He actually makes use of Burrow quite well, whether it's with Bane Mines or even something like this, you know, delaying the 4th base and being annoying. Force a scan in the main as well. God. Not enough Zerg players do that. Maybe that's a good thing. You know, I'm sure Terran players on the ladder enjoy the fact that they don't have to worry about scans all the time. Oof. Meanwhile, BC comes out again, but there should be plenty of queens. Transfuses are on point. The BC doesn't really find too much damage at all, but it is distracting the army, as we do have the main army pushing out towards the left-hand side of the map instead. So far unscouted, the Ling Bane is not where it really needs to be. Lurker Den is on the way to get into Hydra Lurker Viper eventually at some point, but this push is going to be able to clear up a lot of creep. Unfortunately, there's no base to deny, otherwise the base would 100% be dead, but Ryu is expanding towards the bottom right instead. Ooh, as he goes for a massive run by. I don't know if this run by is really going to do too much here. Does get into the main base. Ooh, does burrow actually. Does force it again. Thankfully, YanXII did have an eye on this. He did recognize that the Lings were being borrowed. So again, even though the Ling run by didn't get a lot of worker kills, forces 2 scans. Not bad. It's something. It's something. And again, Ryu doesn't really care about his Ling Bane right now. He wants lurkers. That's his end goal, and the lurkers are out. Like, he's achieved his goal here to survive long enough to get into a hive, to get into his lurker upgrades, to get into Niduses at some point as well. And despite YanXII being active, he just hasn't really been able to find any real damage here. The tanks go down as well. Oh god. Lurkers have been revealed. This time the transition into ghosts is late from YanXII. Ghosts, liberators, just like the previous game. That's what we need. We saw that against the ultras. We need that against the lurkers, and it's just not ready. Meanwhile, a bit of a run by here, but we do have Ling Bane prepared to meet it. There should be enough Marines to deal with this though. So I mean, this drop could deal some damage. It could get some work done. But not quite. Does get cleaned up in the end, and meanwhile the lurkers are forcing their way into the third base. Tanks are not where they need to be. They're covering the ramp, which is great, but the lurkers, they don't care about the ramp. Thankfully, YanXII does keep... Oh no! The Biles! Ooh. The Biles connect. The BC goes down as well. Beautifully timed there with the teleport. Third base was evacuated, so not a lot of workers go down. Only 5 in the end. YanXII trying to expand, but once again, Ryu being so annoying with these Lings. Every time. The tanks are alone. Not like this. Couple of Biles do connect. The lurkers are already in position. They have range as well. They will back off. They do respect the tank count. Again, tanks are amazing here. It's really difficult to dive on top of tanks with lurkers, but he doesn't care about diving because we have a double Nidus on the way. And we have an Overseer in the main base. Uh-oh. Nidus in the middle of the map. Nidus in the main base as well. Does YanXII see? That is the big question. We have a bit of a Ling run by here, distracting his opponent at the third base location. But again, this is just a distraction because the Niduses are finishing. Oh my god, Queens and lurkers come in. We do have a couple of snipes on the Queens, but again, we don't care about Queens. Ryu is just cleaning up supply. The time for Queens has come and gone. The era of lurkers is upon us. Ooh, at the same time, Ling Bane run by hits the third base. CC goes down. Oh god, there are just too many spines. The frames can't keep up. I do apologize, by the way. Usually I'm not losing frames like this, but yeah. My PC doesn't agree with all the lurkers. It's disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting. They're just getting on top of the production, getting on top of all the tanks as well. This is the kill move that Ryu is going for. YanXII just doesn't really have anything else going for him. He does have a decent tank count, but he lost the majority of his ghosts. He's losing all of his production. And there's just no real way for the Terran to recover from here. He's going all in with his push. He's got a lot of ghosts. He's basically doing whatever he can, but we even have lurkers at home. There's lurkers everywhere. Solid EMPs on the Vipers, but not before the Parasitic Bomb does connect with all these medevacs. The army in the main base still hasn't been dealt with. Nothing is being produced. Ah. And Ryu with a clinical performance of ZvT in a couple of different ways. Game 1, he went ultras. Game 2, he goes lurkers. And this is his preferred way to play. For those wondering, Ryu has a bit of a nickname in Latin America. He is Jim Rising is the Muta King. Ryu is the Lurker King. He makes lurkers work like no other. And eventually this will be cleaned up. Maybe copium. I don't know. This is the army right now. We have 5 ghosts. Soon to be no ghosts. As the minimap is just flashing red right now. The Ghost Academy goes down. We do see some blinding clouds as well. Tanks are rendered inert here. And GG gets called. Ryu takes the series, and he is our Sentimiento Latino 133 champion. Congratulations, Ryu. Congratulations. And a massive shout out to YanXII as well, because I mentioned this earlier briefly, but this is the first time Yan has made it to the finals. He has never made it to the finals of a Sentimiento Latino before. So this is a pretty momentous occasion for him as well. You know, for a long time, Yan has been more of a mid-tier player, you know, always the bridesmaid, never the bride. But for him to make it this far could be the start of something. It was massive to see him take down Paco Mike specifically, 2-0. That was very impressive. And I look forward to see him maybe go further. Obviously, Ryu is a monster. And he was the favorite coming into this tournament. Congratulations to Ryu. But YanXII put up a really good fight. And like, I would say that there's even a world where we go to the ace match. Remember game 1? Like, remember how YanXII was all over Ryu in game 1, dropping all over the place and getting a lot of damage done and getting snipes off on the ultras as well? Like, YanXII, he was holding his own in game number 1. And I do think that, like, you know, if he's able to improve in skill a little bit further, like, yeah, we could have seen an ace match. So congratulations to our overall victor Ryu, but also much love to YanXII as well. I do hope to see more of him in the future. I do hope that this isn't the last time we see him in the finals. I want to see more of him. I want to see him go up against more big names like your Jim Rising, like your Eggs, like your Tavo, and make it to the finals again, and maybe even win a tournament. Maybe even win. Ooh. But again, congratulations to Ryu. He is kind of the player to beat. Yeah, he's one of the best Zerg players in all of Latin America. One of the best. I would say top 3. Cham is obviously the best, and then you have Eric and Ryu just under them. 2 CranKy Ducklings, and they both have their strengths and weaknesses. But you know, that's just the hurdle that you have to overcome if you're playing in these weekly tournaments. You have to be able to go toe-to-toe with the best of the best. And he almost did it. He almost did it. GG. Oof. But yeah, with that, I hope everyone enjoyed themselves, especially the finals, the entire tournaments. This is a regular tournament that we run. As you can tell, this is the 131st edition. You know, Darking has been running Sentimiento Latino ever since like 2017. It's been a long road. Quickly checking, sorry, 2018. Ever since 2018, he's been running Sentimiento Latino on a bi-weekly basis. So if you enjoyed it, hit that follow button and be here next time, because this tournament isn't going anywhere and the players are going to be here every single time. Hopefully some more players. Again, I miss my Tavo. I want my Tavo here. I want my Eggs here as well. They're kind of the 2 names that come to mind that we're missing today. But again, I'm sure they're taking a break after DreamHack. Like, a lot of players are taking breaks after DreamHack. I don't blame them. You know, DreamHack is even still going on for other regions. But yeah, it was a really good tournament, a really fun tournament. Next week is going to be Copa Hyperion, so every single week we have Latin American StarCraft for you, where we feature these players, and more on top of them as well. GG. Cham even plays in Copa Hyperion, so if you want to tune into Cham, he's there as well. Just to be transparent, Special and Kelazur, Special has played in some of these weeklies, but not many, especially when Special is in Korea. These tournaments are a little bit early, so Special doesn't play in them. And Kelazur lives in Europe, and unlike Ryu, Kelazur isn't willing to stay up until 5 AM, so the 2 of them don't really play in these tournaments, but everyone else, they're usually here. So yes, thank you so much for watching, everyone. I hope you enjoyed yourselves. Our next broadcast is maybe tomorrow. I say maybe. ESL Open Cup Asia is tomorrow, and we usually cast that. But the reason why I'm a little bit tentative about ESL Open Cup Asia is because we have one more day of DreamHack broadcast for us. We're going to be the D stream for DreamHack Europe and DreamHack North America for the last day of group stage. And that is on the 29th. The 30th for me, but the 29th if you're in America or if you're in Europe. So that is basically Sunday night. So it may be best if we slept during ESL Asia. Usually we cast it, but I may be sleeping for it to wake up in time for DreamHack. You know, DreamHack does take priority. We want to be well rested. We don't want to be, you know, sleep deprived or anything like that. So yes, we do have one final day of DreamHack that we're going to be casting. And it is going to be both Europe and North America. Not a lot of matches. I can actually, you know what? I'll just tell you. I'll just tell you what matches we're probably going to cast. Let's have a look here. For DreamHack EU, D-Stream. I have the spreadsheet. I have the technology. 29th. What do we have? Goblin versus Arts, Bly versus Milky Cow. Ooh, that's spicy. DNS versus Hate Me, and Battle B versus Geralt. So those are most likely the matches that we're going to be casting. Very diverse, very iconic as well. Goblin versus Art would be a lot of fun, actually. That'd be a really intense PvP. And for North America, only 2 matches. Asuna versus Epic and M. Canning versus Binsky. Oh, spicy. These matches are to be determined. I don't mind saying this, but if you're wondering how it works with all the streams, basically they have like a template for what your matches could be, but at the end of the day, the mainstream get first dibs. The mainstream looks at all the available matches and they're like, you know what? We want to cast this. So the mainstream is first to pick and choose, and then B stream, and then C stream, and then D stream. That's the hierarchy that it works. So, you know, we may cast different series in the end, depending on what people want to cast. Of course. So yeah, we'll see what happens. But yeah, we're gonna be live in a couple of days over on this channel. We're gonna be live on the CranKy Ducklings. That's the added bonus of being the D stream, is that you don't cast on an ESL channel, you cast on your own channel. So consider hitting that follow button, consider following us, and being here for our next broadcast. And yeah, because of that, we usually cast ESL Open Cup Asia, but we won't cast it this week. We'll cast it next week instead. So I know a lot of people enjoy tuning in for Korean StarCraft, and we're usually here for it, but not this week. You know, DreamHack, it's the event. It's the StarCraft event, so we gotta focus on that instead. So yeah. Other than that, thank you so much for watching. I had to solo cast the entire thing. Usually I have a co-caster, but not today, unfortunately. Darking was a little bit busy, but he will join me next time. And again, I hope everyone had a good time. Consider following us on social media, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. We have our Discord server. We also have a YouTube channel as well. All of our VODs are uploaded to YouTube, so if you want to keep up with StarCraft, we upload on a daily basis on our YouTube channel, so consider checking it out and subscribing. I know watching VODs on YouTube isn't the same. I know it's not ideal, but if you don't mind watching VODs, then check it out. It's not bad. Oof. Exclamation mark socials in the chat. There you go. Meanwhile, I also stream on my personal channel, light_VIP, not too regularly, and it's just ladder sessions or Final Fantasy 14. We stream that as well. So if you're interested in my personal stuff, then check me out on Light VIP. But usually, if you want to tune into my casting, then it's here on the CranKy Ducklings. It's not just me. You know, I have Kuro, I have Yaku, I have Darking, I have Cristiano, sometimes Asher Bro, sometimes Neo, sometimes Starduck, Steel Mold as well. He's a regular caster, so we kind of bring in, you know, whoever we can from the Ducklings. Just no one else was available today. Feels bad, man. Everyone else was asleep. Ugh. But yeah, thank you so much everyone for tuning in. Meanwhile, let me just quickly check here who is streaming right now, because we're gonna give someone a raid. I don't know who, but we'll give someone a raid. Rough Top is streaming. Usually we raid Magic Cup Masters. Jadolf! There we go. Jadolf is streaming. We'll give him some love. The Dolph himself. If you don't know Jadolf, he is an Australian Terran player, a Masters player. He's more of a streamer, an amateur player, but he is working on getting to GM, so give him some love. He's a great guy. I do recommend lowering the volume though, because his raid alert is ear-piercing. So I apologize. I recommend when the raid goes through, lower the volume a little bit until after the alert goes through, because it's I need to speak to Jadolf about that. The raid alert is not that great. But yeah, head on over, give him some love. He's a great guy. He's a dolphin. We're the duck. He's a dolphin. He's great. He's great. So yes, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it. Exclamation mark YouTube in the chat. Is that it? There we go. There we go. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you guys in just over 24 hours, a day and a half, for the DreamHack stream. Until then, we'll see you then. Ciao. Ciao, ciao, ciao.